Hello and welcome to Impactability, the Nonprofit Leaders Podcast. This is a show that explores the landscape of the nonprofit organization, big and small, offers some incredibly helpful information and resources, and gives nonprofits a place to share ideas and get advice. Our show is sponsored by Sukup Strategic Solutions, offering a wide variety of services to help nonprofits maximize their impact. We're excited to bring you the stories and advice of leaders in the nonprofit sector to help you succeed in your nonprofit. So let's get started.
Welcome to Impactability, the Nonprofit Leaders Podcast. I'm Cheryl Sukup, and I'll be your host for today's episode. We really appreciate you joining us. We have a fantastic episode today with a bold and dynamic, talented nonprofit leader, Dawn Belamarich. Dawn, thanks so much for joining me today as a guest on the show.
Thanks for having me, Cheryl. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Well, can you just start us off by telling a little bit about yourself and the mission of the nonprofit organization you're currently serving?
Sure. So as you mentioned, my name is Dawn Belamarich, and I have been in Southwest Florida for almost 3 years. And we'll go into my history, I'm sure, but I'm actually a therapist by training. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, and I have a doctorate in business and leadership. And I am currently leading Collaboratory, which is our regional community foundation for the 5 counties in Southwest Florida. We have an incredible physical space downtown Fort Myers. And basically our mission is to solve the biggest social challenges facing our region on a timeline by 2040. And we do that by investing in our nonprofits, creating projects that are data-driven and evidence-based. And we measure our impact to make sure that we're actually moving the needle in the right direction for the social challenges we champion.
I love it. That's a big, huge mission.
Yes.
But I love that you're measuring your success over time and investing in others. Really, truly collaborative.
It's very cool.
As your name implies.
Yeah, it's been fun too. We put about $12 million out into the community annually, but we're celebrating 50 years next year, which is really cool. And that'll be over $132 million that we've invested in Southwest Florida since 1976. So it just feels really cool to be a part of something that's had such a great impact over time.
Yeah. And 50 years, that's going to be a fun celebration.
We're going to make it that. I will keep you posted. I'm putting together some of the pieces now.
Okay, I'm there. All right. So tell me how you came to be in the nonprofit leadership position you're currently in.
That's a funny story. So earlier in my career, I was certainly in leadership roles in about a $20 million nonprofit in New Jersey. My apologies. I'm from New Jersey. And I took a little bit of a detour after that. I was in the private sector space for about 10 years. I was running inpatient addiction treatment campuses across the country for a private equity-backed company, so the private sector. And we made the move down here, and my first role was with Lee Health, which was a nonprofit, a very large nonprofit, leading their behavioral health initiative. But I became pretty fast friends with my predecessor here, Sarah Owen, who I just loved the innovation that she was talking about. In the private sector, specifically in private equity, innovation is the name of the game. You're constantly looking for the next, solution to gaps and problems. And I just thought it was really cool. She was trying to do it in the nonprofit space. And shortly after we met, she was stepping down to pursue other adventures after 12 years. And this opportunity became available. So, she was a big campaigner for my cause, and she's a huge supporter. But more than that, I fell in love with the mission of trying to make a business case for social issues and really trying to use data and investing appropriately and trying to have long-term impact in our area.
That's great. Sarah's been on our podcast before, so for anybody that hasn't already listened to it, go back and listen to that episode. So, okay, now thinking about your nonprofit journey, like from the very beginning, what got you started in nonprofit work to begin with? Was it like something that happened in your childhood? Was it just like, freak luck? Did you get drawn to it because it was just the next thing to do? Like, what got you into it? Where did the journey start?
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on my childhood, so I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. But yes, I think I really had no plans on even working in a helping field. I wanted to be an FBI agent. I was pursuing the FBI Academy when I took a job completing my first master's degree at a prison in South Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a really emotional experience with an older inmate there that was just very triggering from my own father issues from childhood. And it led me down an exploration of therapy and being a therapist that I never would have imagined. So it was very happenstance that I landed in a nonprofit because I wanted to, be arresting serial killers and bad guys. And it really was that one experience where, number one, I felt like I didn't have my own stuff figured out, right? And I was going to go out into the world, and I had some things I needed to work through. But number two, that role of helping people. I love people. I've always had a personality, I think, that, wants to engage. And that's how I landed at that first nonprofit after that prison experience, and totally detoured from what I was planning on doing.
Yeah, I had a similar situation where I totally detoured from what I thought I was going to do too. So,
What were you going
I started
to do?
out as I was a microbiologist when I started my career, which is like really different than what I ended up doing.
That's so cool, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of people end up in the nonprofit space, like, I don't want to say by accident, but like something it catalyzes the switcheroo from what they were doing to what to the nonprofit space. So
yeah, it's a total game changer too. I mean, I'm a therapist now, so I have done a lot of self-awareness and exploration, but if I think about it, if I hadn't found this path, I would have floated out into the world with a lot of unhealed issues, and I call them wounds that I project onto others. And I think in a lot of ways it was game changing and life-saving for me, even in the private sector. I mean, running rehabs, you're working, you're in some of the hardest, most challenging situations, and you get a lot of genuine humanity. It's really great.
Yeah, it is really great. Well, I'm glad you found your way to the nonprofit sector because you're doing amazing work in Southwest Florida. So thank you. And I want to ask you, what inspires you day to day to come into work and to do all of this? Because you have a pretty tough job. You're in a position that has a lot of responsibility and a lot of pressure, and you're juggling a lot of things. You have a massive budget to work with, and you're impacting so many people and organizations. So what makes you want to wake up every day and go into the Collaboratory and do your thing?
What a really great question. I'll start with the people. I'm super, super extroverted and an energy, like I don't want to say that I absorb it all, good and bad, but I do. So I'm super inspired by new relationships, by new solutions that I can build with people. I'm inspired by this team. I'm inspired by the nonprofit partners we work with. So that really gives me a lot of energy. I'm also really inspired by innovation, by leading things like that, like being someone who can step up and be like, hey, let's try this. I don't think there's anything cooler to experience as a leader than being able to take risks that could change people's lives in the future. So I get super amped up about that. In a way, my team is probably like really annoyed by, which is fine. They'll deal with it. But it's the best feeling to wake up and know that you're coming in and it's not monotonous. No day is ever the same. And a lot of it is like building this rapport with people so that we can change outcomes. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. That is really cool. All right. That was a great answer. All right. So tell me, what's the biggest challenge you have with your nonprofit leadership role right now? And how are you going to overcome it?
I would say the biggest challenge in the here and now, just staying fully present, is there's a lot of fluctuations happening that are out of my control. And as an oldest child who's always been in leadership roles, control is my bestie for the restie. So, there's funding, ramifications for some of our partners. There's leaning out of operations at the state level, and there's a lot of uncertainty. So I would say leading, I mean, rehab, the operation of rehabs by itself is chaos. So I'm adaptable and will stay optimistic. I'd say the challenge is always keeping everyone else optimistic and solutions oriented. And how do we figure it out when there are so many unknowns that we can't control?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that it's a challenge, and I see the burden on people who've been fighting the good fight for a long time. So I truly feel one of my responsibilities is to help them identify solutions, help identify opportunities for sustainability. And more than that, have real conversations, right, about what we can do, because we're all trying to work towards the same thing, even though so many things are in flux.
Yeah. Do you have any special things that you do to keep that optimism up?
Oh, yeah. I am. So, funny story, background of me. I was voted class pessimist of my high school class. So
Really?
when I was growing up, I was so sad and so negative that 300 plus people decided I should win a superlative that I'm sure they've outlawed in New Jersey. And since then, through a lot of growth, I am over the top optimistic. And I am a daily poster on LinkedIn. I love a good morning quote. Part of my morning routine is meditation, workout, and some inspiration personally and for others. And I try to live that. For me, I think the best thing I can provide is what you see is what you get. I'm not acting differently in front of my husband or my family than I am with anyone that comes to meet with me. I'm also a therapist, which creates a private, confidential environment for everyone that comes to spend time with me. And sometimes there's a lot of gossip, and I am completely disengaged from that. So I think that creates a level of optimism because your words match your actions. And that's what I'm trying to do.
That's great. Well, I think optimism has to be one of the necessary traits for success as a nonprofit leader. I don't know if it's the number one, but it's one of the necessary, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. I think sometimes there's some people who are just naturally optimistic, and whether you have to work that way, work to be that way, or you're naturally endowed with optimism.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wake up every day and for some reason, like God has a reset button on me. Like whatever happened yesterday, no matter how bad I felt yesterday, luckily I get to wake up and like it's a sunshiny day. I don't know why that is, but I don't think I could have gotten through the challenges in my life had I not had that automatic reset button every morning. But that optimism, I think, is a really, really powerful trait.
Yeah, and it's a muscle you flex, like to your point, because I really think it's important to wake up with gratitude and to remind yourself of all the great things that are happening, because we're all very blessed. And I've, had many unfortunate positions in life where I've seen people who are a lot less blessed than us. So I think like every muscle that we strengthen, 28 days I tell people of a behavior will rewire your brain in a way others can't. You have to set the intention. If you're not, I'm not innately optimistic, right? I'm the class pessimist of my high school class.
Yeah.
So, I had to work at it. And I will tell you, I love evidence and I love data. Clearly, once the evidence is in of how much better your life is when you infuse optimism, I think it's a no-brainer.
Agreed. All right. Tell me, is there a particular nonprofit success story that you'd like to share?
Nonprofit success story.
What's something you're really proud of?
We have a lot of them. I mean, before I got here, I will talk about just programs now that I'm seeing, but a lot of programs that receive some initial funding, like Family Initiative, who's delivering autism services, and other smaller nonprofits that I now get to watch grow, is really inspiring. That's really cool. We have just invested $200,000 for AI training for all of our nonprofits in the region. I think in some of these scary times, having that support and understanding how to benefit your business is really clutch. So I'm really proud of that. I'll tell you what I'm the most proud of, because it's so businessed on and not as seen as like this thing. In the last year and a half, we have been able to launch data dashboards. We've been able to bring 600 plus nonprofit partners together to this building, and we've been able to fund projects through their collective work. And to me, that's the name of the game here at Collaboratory. So being able to get that off the ground, even though, as you know, it comes with speed bumps, hurdles, and confusion, I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of partners who may have never, looked at data the way we are or tried to move the needle on these things, taking quite frankly, the hope of optimism to go in and be like, okay, let's see how this works. And then seeing these projects get funded. I mean, we're at the early stages, but I am so proud of that. So proud.
Mm-hmm. That's so great. Tell me a story about something that you've seen happen through the nonprofit work you've been involved with.
I've seen happen. Well, I'll use scholarships. I use a Collaboratory example, and I'll tie it personally because education is very important to me. I obviously could have spent my life in school had they not charged me money for it. But I am a recipient of scholarships that got me a full ride to go to college. There would be no way I would have been able to go to college without them. To now come over to Collaboratory where $1.2 million of scholarship goes out to our region every year, and then to have a couple of those recipients come in and tell their story. We had an incredible testimonial last week at our board meeting where a kid was an 18-year-old, I don't want to call him a kid, a young adult, was given a scholarship, first generation to go to college in his family, significant trauma, significant loss, significant challenges. Knowing that that changed his life and will inevitably change the system of which he operates in his life. I mean, I could never feel happier about anything because, yeah, it's great when you put the press release out for the 1.2, but when you hear about the human beings like mine whose lives were changed by that, it's the game changer of game changers. And I get to hear those stories in spades. I get to hear them all the time.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so no matter how hard the work is, no matter what challenges you have to just keep going at it because these are the stories that come from that.
Yeah, he doesn't care about my bad days, he doesn't, and I do think about this because when you work with addicts your whole life, I mean, I've seen people at the lowest point of their life, period, right? He doesn't care that I slept 4 hours or, are we going to get the data off the ground? There's a lot of things to be grateful for, but more than that, a lot of things to be proud of. And that to me is the reminder.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Well, tell me, what's one thing that you wish you had known when you began your time with nonprofits? Something you know now that you wish you had known in the beginning?
Wow, Cheryl, what a loaded question. I think I'll start with what I know, what I've learned over time, because I obviously have a lot of time in different sectors. When I first started, I didn't realize that a nonprofit is a business. And I still think people wonder about this when I meet with them, and it's something I hope to better infuse. A tax status does not negate you from running a business. And I think when I first started in the nonprofit space, I was, we're going to do the feel good stuff and it's great. We're raising money. But there's no money, there's no mission, right? That's a period, end of story. And even though you reinvest those dollars into the community or the work you're doing, you still are responsible for running a business. And, I think because I have a lot of background in the business space, that's what I run as businesses. That's really important to me here at Collaboratory and in conversations with our partners and in how we operate. And even more now, as the federal government changes and state government, we have to operate like businesses. And we need to know what that means because there'll be too much opportunity to lose great services if we don't all start thinking like that.
Yeah, it's true. But just like businesses, when you have a huge loss of revenue, you've got to make some hard choices. How will you navigate through all of that with your team, with your partners, all of that?
Yeah, you're right.
If things come to pass that you hope that they don't.
Yeah, I mean, this is the struggle of every leader, I think, right? Regardless of space. It's getting ahead of it. I never want to run a business that's so outside of its skis that we're in a crisis if one piece of funding drops.
Yep.
So I know here at Collaboratory, we've done a really good job of how we budget it. And I always have 3 to 5 year plans. I'm never working on a year to year because I'm neurotic and that just wouldn't work. But I think with our partners now, I'm opening my door for those neutral, confidential conversations around like, okay, what does it look like? Because we've lost a big chunk of this, and is merger an option, right? Are there other organizations that you can partner with? Is there, obviously nobody wants to lose team members. And as a human being, I get it. As a business person, that's the reality, right? Of what we face when we don't have the revenue to continue certain things. So
Exactly.
I just really think that background for me is what most of my conversations here with partners are about, is options. How do we do it?
Yeah.
So
No,
it's tough.
I mean, that's a very compassionate way to handle the situation. But you're right. If you were in a for-profit business, you would do what you needed to do to keep the business moving forward. And I think nonprofits, some of the people within nonprofits can really struggle to make those hard decisions. So
Yeah, I feel
it's good to hear you
fortunate.
having those conversations with other nonprofits.
Yeah, I am. And
You're
I
getting
think
ahead of
because
it.
I've delivered that message on who I am, I think, from upfront. So there's a lot more comfort maybe in having that conversation. I think that this is the best time to be using data and partnerships as your superpower. So I feel really strongly that, like, if anyone's going to have some ideas, it could be a person that's trying to convene all of these people for a greater impact. But yeah, it's hard. I mean, I just think if leadership is hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the tax status is. If you're a small business or you're running NVIDIA, it's hard, and hard decisions have to be made. So I try to be, I am a therapist, right? I think that gives me a little bit of that empathetic approach, but genuine, I try not to dance. I try to give people the truth. And I think that's important.
Yeah, no, you don't mince words. You're pretty straightforward,
Thanks.
which is good. It's good to be real.
Yeah.
It's also good to be forward thinking and trying to, as you said, get out in front of it and look at options and what are the scenarios and how can you see your way forward through difficult times. I think that's great. And doing it all together also. So none of the nonprofit organizations that are part of your overall collaboratory family, so to speak, part of your coalitions, everybody is feeling like, to some degree, they're in it together, right?
Yeah, it's important because the loneliness, I mean, it's lonely at the top, right? Like, leadership is lonely. But this idea that people genuinely have your back because they want the best for the mission and the organization, even if hard decisions have to be made, I almost think only a neutral third party could do that, right? Because everybody else they have an intention that might not be something that you want. And I do feel truly committed to trying to be a partner to people in that.
That's great. We need it in the community, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for your leadership.
Thanks, Cheryl.
All right, now we're going to take a quick break and we will be back with you shortly.
Sometimes there's just not enough hours in the day to get the work at your nonprofit done. Souk Up Strategic Solutions can help. We handle all kinds of projects, especially the ones you can't seem to get to. Fundraising, marketing, grant writing, communications, and more. With Souk Up Strategic Solutions, you'll have a team of nonprofit professionals working for you. You'll have more hands on deck, reduce your overhead, and increase efficiency. For a free consultation on how we can help lighten the load at your nonprofit, visit soukupstrategicsolutions.com. That's SOUKUP strategicsolutions.com. Maximize your impact with Souk Up Strategic Solutions.
Welcome back. I'm speaking with Dawn Belamarich of Collaboratory. Dawn, let's continue our conversation. Let me switch gears and ask you another question. This time I want to talk about board members. So, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to nonprofit board members?
Whew. All right, let me use my words here. I mean, my biggest piece of advice is that if you're in it, be in it. I've reported to only two types of boards in my life. One is nonprofit boards and one is shareholders, investor boards. And when your money is in it, believe me, you think I don't mince words. Most of my life has been with people who are a lot more direct than me because, again, there's the accountability is because their dollars and cents are in the mission. I do wish we had a similar, not getting hands in the operation and being, but like truly a steward of that mission and caring as deeply about its success as the leadership does. Sometimes I feel like joining a board is about recognition and notoriety, and there's great things for that they serve.
Yeah.
But putting your name and your time and your commitment into something you can go 100% on, that's my advice. Like if you're in it, be in it, and that is what matters the most to a leader and to a community is somebody that's all in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's good advice. If only everyone were.
I dream the big dream, Cheryl. When I dream the big dream, this is the perfect scenario.
Well, perfect. Okay. If there was one piece of advice you could give to other nonprofit CEOs, what would it be?
One piece of advice. I mean, since we're on this topic, it might be as simple as like, never forget you're running a business. The great thing about nonprofits that I love is like we get to merge passion with purpose, right, in our business in a way that sometimes even in the private sector you can't. But I think my biggest piece of advice is like a mission statement to me is the task that your business has to achieve, and you have a finite number of resources to do it. I have to be cognizant that like I'm in the business of solving that mission, right? Like I would love every CEO in the nonprofit space to have their dream be that they're out of business because they have actually been able to move the needle. I'm certainly trying to do that, and I have a big mission here. So send prayers. But that's my advice is, I think sometimes we just get caught up in the day-to-day and the nonsense and, we're doing good work that we forget that we're actually trying to move to something greater.
Yeah. Yep. It's so important to keep that mission in your focus every single day. And if you're not intentional about making that connection between mission and what you're doing right now today, it's so easy to lose that because there's 1,000 things going on and some of it feels like minutia. And you won't even remember half the things tomorrow that you did today. Yeah, well, I can't remember half the things I did today that I did yesterday that I did yesterday when I'm sitting here today. But keeping that mission at the center of it, that can really provide a lot of inspiration and a lot of, from my perspective, a lot of patience, tenacity, perseverance when things are not easy, and just a reason to keep going, keep trying, and also to inspire others. If I don't make that connection all the time, not just for me, but for others, then we lose the reason why we're doing all of this in the first place. So.
Yeah, and this, I mean, because we've been involved in things together, but like I truly feel in like setting goals and having every leader, for here, my goals filter down to my leadership team and they all tie back to the goal of the mission we're trying to achieve. And that helps me stay laser. I am an ADHD nightmare. I don't like details. I'm a big picture of pie in the sky. It also helps me as a leader, right, to make sure I'm staying focused on like, and what am I doing today getting me closer to 2040? And if it isn't,
right, then
how much time can I waste on it, or should I be? And am I setting a good example for my team that should be laser focused on that as well? So those short and long-term goals from a financial to like actual qualitative and quantitative goals is so important if you're going to get there, because if not, we're just waking up and doing the thing and really not focused on where we're going.
Yeah, I believe that. That's really great. All right. So tell me, sometimes we have all the best intentions, but things don't go as we hope they will, but we can certainly learn from that. So tell me, what is your biggest failure and what did you learn from it? How did it change you or the work that you do or the way that you do your work?
So many to name. I will say that. I say that with a straight face.
All right, just pick one.
I know. I'm trying to think through them. I'm only had any success because of all the failures, right? So there's daily ones. I think the biggest failure for me on repeat is I want to give the benefit of the doubt to people for too long. I'll give you many.
I'm so right there with you.
Oh my God,
so
I
right
am. That's my dream state
so
is that every human is great. Everyone is going to change. I have enough evidence, Cheryl. This is what really upsets me. I have enough evidence at this point to know that when people tell you who they are, believe them. But from rehabs all the way to current, I think I'm going to change people. I have had people that I've run rehabs with that have done inappropriate things with clients. I've had one that's stolen from me. I have people that have done things poorly behind my back. And as direct as I am and as easy as I am in an uncomfortable situation, I have this defect where I think I'm going to change people. And
you know what? It is a defect, isn't it?
It's a defect.
I have that same defect.
But it is that. It's not bad. It's real.
Yeah.
It is well-intentioned, and it's because I care about humans. But man, if I can go over the number of times I have failed by keeping people around for too long, keeping them in a position that they weren't ready for too long, trusting them for too long, we could spend 2 hours on this podcast.
Well, we'll have to go have a glass of wine or
Yeah,
a cup of
well,
coffee.
that'll be a
So we're
cocktail
not talk about
discussion.
that further because I share that gene. That
It's
genetic
not great.
defect is in my DNA. All right. So, what are some of the best resources that have helped you along the way in nonprofit leadership roles?
The best, I try to respond without like overthinking it. And the first thing that comes to my mind is other leaders. I'm a big fan of learning. Obviously, we've talked about, but the best people I can learn from are the people that have more experience than me. I ask a lot of questions. I don't mind being dumb and not knowing. Humble enough to know that it's not all about me and I need people's support. And I will constantly leverage that. And my whole career has been that. So I would say that's the first thing is like continuous commitment to learning and self-improvement and getting it right. The other pieces is when I started in the nonprofit space, I was young and just wanted to do good things without facts and without data, without measuring something. My life just became really hard in that space. And it really was the private sector that taught me a lot about KPIs and making sure that, yeah, it feels good to help someone, but if they come to treatment 30 times this month, are we succeeding? You know? So measurement, like for myself, personally, right? Measuring my capabilities and my work all the way down to the nitty gritty of what we're funding and what our business line is. That is the best resource. There is data everywhere. You can create your own. There's turnover proof data. But a resource that like gets you out of the feelings into the facts, that is a dream state for me. It's a favorite resource of all the time is I have a lot of feelings. I'm a therapist. My business is feelings a lot of the times. But for the most part, I'm pretty like factual. Like, okay, so I hear you saying X, but it's pretty subjective because 9 out of 10 times X. It just makes it less messy.
Have you been able to surround yourself with people who have that, who are like-minded, who have that same data, that appreciation for data and that data centeredness?
Yes, I have. I'm a big believer in surrounding myself with people who are very opposite than me, but have the same ideology. So yes, they're data driven. I also have people around me that are just very feel good pie in the sky that I have to reel in. There's some inherent value to that. But on my leadership team, and when it comes to directional people, yes, because again, just the mission of this organization, we're going to solve something on a deadline. Unless we're just going to feel good for the next 15 years, like how do we know we're getting there? You know, so yeah, I think that that's crucial. I think that is something I've really tried to focus on.
Excellent. Okay. What is the biggest surprise you've had in the last few months and why?
The biggest surprise.
It could be a good surprise. Could be a bad surprise, whatever you want.
Well,
Could be a neutral.
one personal good surprise was my husband was diagnosed with cancer at the end of last year and is in remission. So
Okay.
that
That's
is,
something to celebrate.
yeah, it is, because it was very surprising, and he's young, um, and he's doing great. So that is a very good personal surprise.
That's fantastic.
I think professionally, I did just get I just get asked to be on Leadership Florida. So that is a
Oh,
really,
congratulations.
thank you. I think milestone wise, and like, again, when I think about this organization, getting our message out there across the state, a really nice recognition and a really nice opportunity for us to spread the mission a little bit more. So lots of good stuff.
That's
And
fantastic.
it was
Those are good
surprising.
surprises.
It was surprising. It was surprising.
Not that big of a surprise.
Well, thanks.
I'm not surprised.
Okay.
But that's really great about your husband, and congratulations on the diagnosis of remission. That's great.
Yeah. Surprised on both ends. Surprised about it, and then very pleasantly surprised at the outcome.
Good. All right. My next question is there anything that you've read or listened to recently that has inspired you in relation to your nonprofit work?
Yeah, I'm a big podcast girly. So I love Armchair Expert with Dak Shepard. And the reason I really love that, number one, he's in recovery. We know how I feel about that topic. He has a lot of good experts on there who overcome a lot of odds. I think, because I'll tell you a book I just reread last week for no apparent reason, but it must tie in. It's hard to feel like when you're grasping around and not everything is as like black and white every day, that you're getting there, that you're doing the things. It's always nice to hear from other people who are also taking the risk, knowing they had this dream and that they took the hits, they made the strides, and they got there. Last week, for some reason, it was a weekend, and I picked up The Alchemist again. And I have not read that book in probably 15 years. But that is like the search for meaning, right? And like this long-term pursuit and getting there. And I think right now I'm in that space. We've stabilized a lot of the foundation. We have some level of buy-in. We have partners at the table. Now it's about like keeping that journey alive and that dream of getting there. And I really resonate with those stories.
That's great. I have never read that book, actually.
It's so
I've meant
good.
to read it so many times, and it's been recommended. It's just, I don't know why I never read it. I'm going to read it now.
You would love it. It's story, like, right? It's like very Greek mythology, like, which I don't love. That was like torture for me in high school. But this is very short enough where it's feel good and purpose driven. And it's also like just super inspiring of this journey. You don't know what it's about until you get to some pieces and you're like, oh, it's good. It's really good.
I'm going to read it. Thank you. Thank you for the recommendation.
Of course.
All right. If you had to write a book about your experience working with nonprofits, what would it be about?
I mean, I think, quite frankly, like, not to beat a drum, but the same things we've talked about. I would talk about the business of nonprofits. I would talk about the responsibility of leadership in those spaces, because I think it's almost even more important than in a hierarchical business. If you're in a private sector, you have a lot of layers around you, typically a lot of support. In the nonprofit space, you're really left to your own devices a lot as a leader. And I think the caliber and capacity that's required for that is important. And collaboration. I mean, not to be cheesy and not to be, so on the nose, but we are experiencing, a leaning out of funds for the next probably decade, unlike anything we've experienced in our lifetime. And if we don't come together and partner and actually measure what we're doing, we're going to run out of money. So I would really try to write the book on, let's get over our pride and ego. Let's get out of our own ways. Let's focus on what we actually signed up to do, which was serve a purpose. And let's figure out how to do it in ways that don't, put us out of business before the need is met.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a very popular book. You should
Well,
write
you'll
it.
help me write it, Cheryl. I don't know if I know all the players yet, but you'll help me write it when we get to that point.
Okay, it's a deal. I'll review it. I'll
Thank
read
you.
it and
No,
review
put
it.
your
How's that?
feedback in because the Jersey girl will upset half the people here, and then we'll have to rework the wheel.
I'll tone it down for you.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I have one last question for you today. What is one piece of advice that you'd offer someone just starting out in the nonprofit sector today? Something they should know before they even get started.
Know your why. The best
Okay,
piece of advice
great.
I can give to anyone is know your why. Know why, what you're driven by, know why you're investing in that mission, know why you want that job, know why you think you're most importantly, why you think you're the person that can help it get there, and why you might not be. I have so much respect for people that opt out because they are not the leader for that role. But knowing your why, I think just like as a human being is so important. And I think sometimes we let the mission take us than us helping guide that mission because we're not firm in why we care about it. So that would be my one statement. If I got one statement, I'd be like, just, focus on that. Put it on your mirror, write it in your notebook, remind yourself every day because many days things will take you off course if you're not really planted in that why.
Yeah, good advice. Really good advice.
Yeah, Cheryl.
Well, that's it for
I'm gonna come
me
here for
today. That's all I
affirmations.
have. You have anything for me? You
No,
have any
but can I
questions for
come here
me?
once a week for like positive affirmations? I really enjoy this podcast.
Oh,
No, I feel
excellent.
good.
I'm so glad.
You are such an expert and you are so great at what you do that I truly feel honored to be asked. So know that,
Thank you.
you're asking me all these great questions, but I really feel honored to be talking about this with you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you and all of your expertise and that you would take the time to share it with all of our listeners and with me. Thank you so much, Dawn. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you for all you do as a leader in our community. It's really important. I know you know that, but I have to say it. I really am grateful for you.
Aw,
Thank you.
thanks.
Well, where can listeners find you online?
So I love a good LinkedIn quote, as I mentioned, so you can always find me on LinkedIn. If you love to be pummeled with positivity every day, I am your gal. Go check me out, Dr. Dawn Belamarich. Our website is www.collaboratory.org. You can see our data dashboards. You can sign up for coalition updates. You can find out all the cool things we're doing. And follow us on our socials. Collaboratory is on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We are constantly putting out information and updating our community. And I encourage you to check us out.
Excellent. I encourage all of you listeners to check her out.
Yes, ma'am.
Check out the Collaboratory. They have a great website and a lot of great information. And their branding is so unique. You have to check that out too.
For sure.
All right, Dawn. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We love to hear from our listeners, so please reach out and let us know what you liked and what else you'd like to hear. You can find our email address and links to our social accounts in the show notes. If you enjoyed hearing from today's guest, we encourage you to reach out and connect with them. See the show notes for their contact information. To get more great content in your inbox each month, sign up for our newsletter at impactability.live. That's impactability.live. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the show on YouTube or in your favorite podcast app. That way you'll get new episodes downloaded as soon as they come out. Finally, we'd be grateful if you would give us a positive review or a rating so that your peers in the nonprofit industry can find us as well. From all of us at Impactability, thanks for listening and thank you for all you do to make the world a better place through your nonprofit.